Can you name your gift as we approach this full moon in Sagittarius on the 31st of May? To claim your gift, first you have to name it and then aim high for it. Is now your time? Are you ready? The Sagittarius full moon arrives tensed but fast movement. Think of the wild horses often associated with this sign. At first they gather, still, sensing the wind and its message, yet they are ready to gallop at any moment, changing direction just as the time is right. Maybe Gemini season has already brought you this feeling of standing at a crossroads while the wind changes direction around you. So many messages have arrived. Plans could have shifted. It could be that a conversation lingered in your mind longer than you expected. Something that once felt stable to you is revealing itself to be transitional. You simply realize that you have already outgrown a version of yourself that you have been trying to carry forward. This moon connects us to what feels alive in us. What truths do you seek? Sagittarius is a dancing fire that struggles to stay still for very long. It seeks perspective. It wants to view the vast horizon. It wants the kind of truth that can only be discovered through experience, risk, and movement through the world itself. Under this full moon, you may understand an urge that has been growing to widen your life somehow, perhaps to loosen a constraint. You may need to step beyond a story that's become too narrow to hold who you are becoming. And yet this lunation does not arrive without tension, asking for some action or resolution before moving forward. I will explore the astrological aspects that add nuance to the story. The aim is to help you to understand your personal story of this moment. So the overview of what I'm going to talk about is first we'll look at some journal prompts and maybe a ritual that you can adapt for yourself. We'll look at the nature of Sagittarius, the quality of full moons, and the Sagittarius 1 moon family cycle. We'll look at the first decan of Sagittarius. Austin Cobbett calls it the poisoned arrow, or is it a magic motion? We'll look at the wild waste symbolism and also the tarot correspondence. And then, as always, we'll look at the astrological conversation. What's actually happening in the sky for this full moon? And who's going to feel this full moon most strongly? Because it's not all full moons for everybody. So how can I help you? If this full moon is activating your chart, especially around the early degrees of the mutable signs, that's Sagittarius, Pisces, Gemini, and Virgo, you might already feel that life is asking you to reconsider your direction, your priorities, maybe your beliefs or your long-term plans. My readings and my moon family sessions are designed to help you work with these larger cycles consciously. Astrology can't remove all the uncertainty from life. It's not going to give you all the answers, but it can help you recognize the threads and the themes of the story that you're already living through. Often that awareness alone is empowering. It helps your decision making and strengthens your trust in the process. The journaling can be very effective in bringing things that may be in your unconscious through and just in clarifying for you. Here are some prompts that you might like to try or adapt them for yourself. You might want to look at what truth have you been circling, but avoiding fully naming. Where has your attention become scattered or divided? What beliefs no longer fit the life that you're trying to build? What would freedom actually look like for you now? Where do you need greater trust in your own direction? And what are you beginning to understand that you are outgrowing? And a simple ritual, and of course feel free to adapt it to your own environment and your own needs. Sagittarius is a sign of freedom, pilgrimage, firelight, roads, arrows, beliefs, and the call of distant horizons. So maybe at twilight, and if you can go outside, light a candle and sit quietly for a few moments with a journal or a piece of paper. And first think about the road behind you, the version of yourself that has brought you this far. And then can you identify a crossroads that you recently reached? Next, consider if you can write down one belief, maybe an expectation or a fear that's begun to feel too small, restrictive, or perhaps outdated for the future version of yourself which you want to travel forward. Visualize which road from the crossroads will begin your new path. Perhaps for you it represents a turning away or an adjustment of what you've just identified. Then write one sentence beginning with, I'm ready to move towards something, whatever that is for you. You don't have to force clarity if it's not there for you yet. Sagittarius often works through instinct before the certainty arrives. So if you can't be specific, try to name the feeling that you wish for. or the goal that you aspire to. Whatever that sense is that you have of where you want to travel towards or what you want to be. And when you've clarified what that is and you've written it down, speak what you've written into the air above the candle and allow the flame to be that messenger that carries it forward. When you've allowed time and you feel that that's done, fold the paper once and blow out the candle with thanks. Place the paper beneath the candle overnight. The ritual and the act itself will become the prayer. So Sagittarius, it's mutable. It's yang, which means masculine or outwards facing, out in the world. It's fire. It's ruled by philosophical and expansive Jupiter. It's embodied by the archetype of the archer. And when we think about the archer, we think of how it's skilled and the accuracy that's needed, releasing the arrow to fly through the air at speed and hopefully hit the intended target. Jupiter is currently in its exaltation in nurturing and emotions-led, moon-ruled Cancer. There is a mutual reception with the moon in Jupiter Sagittarius and Jupiter in moon's Cancer, share goals and work together to achieve shared aims. And consider how that's showing up in your life right now. Sagittarius encourages us to broaden our horizons and it challenges our existing beliefs. That fiery nature encourages us to embrace freedom and to act on our passions, while its mutability allows us to remain flexible, open to the changes and transitions. Sagittarius seeks direction, purpose, and the kind of truth that's not only discovered in books, but lived out in the world, on the road, in conversations, and in experience. Jupiter offers the insights that can be learned through knowledge, bringing things and people together and creating order. Sagittarius seeks to understand the world through this movement, storytelling, belief, and vision. Mutable fire is not the initiating blaze of cardinal martial Aries or the fixed, enduring flame of solar Leo. It flickers, sparks, leaps, searches, adapts, and dynamically responds to its environment. This is the wildfire that leaps from peak to peak, always looking for higher ground. As a yang or masculine sign, Sagittarius acts outwardly with this faster willingness to move towards exploration and truth-seeking. Think of the spirit animals of Sagittarius, the eagle and the wild horses on the open plains. There is a nature that is never tamed or contained here, forever chasing these distant horizons. Sagittarius also contains contradictions in this vast, burning search for truth. Sometimes it rushes past complexities too quickly. Mercury, who enjoys finding the devil in the detail, is in exile here, and it feels like he has his arms crossed, sort of refusing to help out under the Sagittarius T's and C's that he hasn't paid any attention to. A full moon in Sagittarius is asking us to seek meaning, to aim higher, and to illuminate our belief systems, as well as those cracks in them that Mercury is seeking to exploit. As a mutable fire sign, Sagittarius burns away any stagnation, inconsistencies, and falsehoods. It needs that freedom and growth, that vision to feed the flame, but the shadow side may also wrestle with restlessness, fanaticism, and burnout. Full moons are defined by oppositions. We find the sun and the moon are opposing each other in the sky. This time marks the halfway point in the lunar monthly cycle, illuminating what was hidden from us at the new moon. The moon is at its brightest, lighting up the night sky and fully reflecting the light of the sun, symbolically showing us both what is completed and what we must now prepare to release as we move towards the end of the cycle. Full moons, particularly when they impact personal placements in our own charts, so not all full moons, you say, can bring emotional clarity, fruition, a peak, and at times relational tension, sometimes even emotional catharsis, culmination, endings or revelations, or moments of heightened awareness. What has been building beneath the surface becomes difficult to ignore now. The truths revealed may ask for integration. There can be a time of heightened awareness, discomfort, and disruption for some of us. The seeds planted during the new moon, either 2 weeks before this full moon was in Taurus, or 6 months before, in this case the Sagittarius new moon on the 18th of December in 2025, come to fruition now. This full moon is occurring across the Gemini-Sagittarius axis as the sun shines opposite in Mercury-ruled Gemini. It's co-present with the awakening and disruptive planet Uranus. Gemini communicates through questions and collects information from many different sources. Sagittarius is seeking one true answer and aims to find a guiding philosophy or a meaningful worldview. So under this lunation, you may notice tension between an overwhelming volume of data and your instinct or your intuition, perhaps between facts and personal belief, or remaining open-minded and finally committing yourself to a path. If this full moon is activating your birth chart, then you will likely have a moon family story that began in December 2024. Identifying the story will help you understand what is coming up for you right now. Astrologically, we have multiple lunar cycles occurring simultaneously. The moon cycles can be tracked in different ways depending on what you're seeking and how you want to work with the moon. The most immediate is the monthly lunar cycle that we're all most familiar with, which spans approximately 29 days from new moon to the next new moon. There is also a 6-month cycle between a new moon and the subsequent full moon in the same sign, when those seeds planted at the new moon come to a fuller fruition. So you can look back over your last 6 months and see what's been growing for you in this time. This full moon is also part of a lunar gestational cycle or moon family. These are patterns that unfold over 27 months or just over 2 years, marked by key lunation phases as the moon returns to the same degree of the zodiac. Or think of it as an address that the moon returns to, and it's in a progressing relationship with the sun. So every time it returns to that address, which it does every month, but the point is that each time it returns to it and it hits that exact relationship with the sun. So it's either in that new moon relationship, in a first quarter relationship where the sun is squaring it, it's in a full moon relationship where the sun is opposite it, or it's in that last quarter relationship where the sun is squaring it again. So that's what we're looking for to mark these pivot points on this story. Moon families were introduced by astrologer Dietrich Pessin and are outlined in her book Lunar Shadows 3. They create this hidden thread of a lunar gestation, a story that's unfolding. So here we have the moon family for the full moon in Sagittarius, illuminating the story that began in December 2024 with a new moon. So the key dates for this cycle, which would be the turning points, the pivot points in the story, although the story is developing all the way along, where something would have switched or changed, or important decisions that moved the story along. So the new moon, the steering point, where there would be a lack of visibility. There's no light from the moon, so things are invisible. It's usually in your subconscious at that time, at the 1st of December 2024. But things are happening around you. Doors are opening, doors are closing that are guiding you onto this path. And then the first quarter is the action, the adjustment. Things are becoming visible, but there's a call to change, a call to take action on the story. Make decisions that might change the direction that it's moving in. You're starting to see the problems that there could be. So in the gardening analogy of a new seed, you might plant in one small, I'm not sure what they're called, little planters. And as they grow, you start to see which seeds have germinated, and then you need to thin them out. So that's the action that you need to take. You take a decision, you plant them into their own separate pots. You're giving them their own little homes. And that would have been at the 31st of August, 2025. And then we come to the full moon, which is now the fruition, the culmination of that story. It's like that seed has now grown and you can see the flower, the color that it is. Maybe you planted an assortment of seeds at the new moon, and now you can see exactly what plants are grown. It's not time to harvest it, maybe, if it's fruit that you're growing, but you can see exactly how well it's going to grow, what it's producing. And that's now the 31st of May at 9 degrees of Sagittarius. And then in the last quarter, we move into this integration phase. And that's just as important a phase. It's you deciding what you're going to keep from the story and what you're going to release, what you're going to integrate. So again, in the analogy of seeds, maybe you're going to keep seeds from the plant. Maybe you're going to cut it back and plant something new next year. It's those kind of decisions. And that will be in February 2027. So the story continues on from this full moon. So it's helpful to know those dates, and also to know that you're meant to be releasing when you come to February, whatever the story has held for you, understanding that a part of you is integrating and a part is releasing as well, that you're not meant to hold on to everything about the story. So if you're not sure about whether this is affecting your placements or how to find your natal chart or anything, I've got videos on my channel about how to pull up your own natal chart. But if you're not sure, an astrologer can help. There's lots of guidance on YouTube, but you can reach out. You can speak to an astro coach as well. And we do this work in Celestial Circle, so you can upgrade your membership and join the live meetings where I'll give you guidance and support in working with the moon families. You can also comment moon family and I'll reach out and help you. So if your chart is activated, think back to December 2024 and what began then. And chances are it was quiet or subtle, maybe. Might have been a desire, a question, an opportunity, or could have even been an internal shift in your thinking that began around that time, linked to the symbolism of Sagittarius or the symbology of Jupiter as well. And you may be able to pick up the threads of your story from the challenges that you faced around that time of the first quarter moon in August 2025, and usually around 2 weeks around that time. You might have been asked to make a decision, a shift, or respond in some way, as there was a pivot in the storyline that became clearer. And if you're not sure, checking back through emails really helps. Looking at your photos on your camera or looking at social media posts might just spark your memory about what was going on around those dates. Listening to music as well, released around that time, I think can sometimes help. Moon families unfold across roughly 27 months, and they reveal this evolving relationship between our instinct, taking action, visibility, and integration. So it's this whole cycle that's happening. And this full moon is marking this culmination point of this Sagittarius story that started in December 2024. Please do share if this cycle is calling to you. I do love to hear your stories, and I'm always seeking case studies to work with and document. So this moon family may be especially active and personal if you've got natal placements around 3 to 10 degrees of the mutable signs, that's Sagittarius, Gemini, Pisces, and Virgo. And also around the same degrees, those early degrees of the fire signs as well, Sagittarius, Aries, and Leo. You might have Jupiter as your perfection lord of the year, or if Jupiter is your solo return ascendant ruler. So these interconnected lunations are emphasizing these themes of exploration, learning, and visionary growth across these 27 months. We can track these cycles and we can work with the evolution of our goals consciously as well over time. And they're ideal for like these longer term projects, these bigger goals that we have if you wish to work with the moon. So I've also got exciting news, which is that Astrological has now added a feature with the lunar gestational cycle and the moon family. So you can look back at past, current, or forward to future moon families yourself and see how they connect with the chart and your own stories. This is a free resource. It's available to all and it's live for testing. So please do feedback if you do find any issues with it as it's newly launched. Search for the lunar gestational cycle, search for moon families, and you can also go to the moon calendar or look under the free horoscopes, look under Astro Tools, and then the lunar gestational families and moon cycles. Look under 2026. You can search down all of the new moons, and you can search down all of the full moons as well. So you'll be able to find the Sagittarius full moon family and see those dates for yourself now. It's not just me sharing them. You're now empowered to do this work for yourself. What I do is to look at my own placements and I look at the full moons and the new moons every year and see which ones are hitting my chart. It's as simple as that. You can diarize them or simply look to see where it's activating in your chart. That is a wonderful tool that Astrological has gifted us in the community. So I'm very, very grateful that that is now available to us. So thank you so much to Peter at Astrological. Now let's look at the Decan of Sagittarius 1, Magic Motion and the Poisoned Arrow. The new moon is in the first decan of Sagittarius, and it's ruled by Mercury as the Triplicity ruler and Jupiter as the Chaldean ruler. And this adds layers of intellectual and spiritual significance. Mercury encourages bold, perhaps unconventional communication, while Jupiter is expanding our capacity for optimism and learning, while offering wise counsel. Together, these rulers emphasize the power of knowledge and the different ways that it can inspire action. So if we understand that this decan symbolizes the power of ideas, knowledge, and action, what happens when these concepts take flight and events unfold at lightning speed, which can take us by surprise? Austin Coppock refers to it as the poisoned arrow for this reason, representing the duality of the speed of this rapid motion. In 36 Faces, Austin Coppock writes that in this decan, vision erupts, the ideal self, the half-divine hero appears, composed entirely of spirit fire. There is power in swift, focused action, but haste can lead to unintended consequences if the target is not carefully chosen or aligned with our values. The arrow can symbolize precision, direction, and the power of an idea launched into the world. Astrologer Kira Ryberg has called this decan mystic, referring to the power of the mage aspect of Jupiter to add fairy dust to our actions. In her book on the 36 decans, she writes, Here we encounter excess, fertilization, and a motivation to provide for ourselves and others. There's a willingness to sustain whatever arises and to commit to the pathway that is unfolding before us. The mission must go on. After all, it's too late to turn back now. If we look at this delightful Wild Way card for this Decan by Nicola Allen, Sagittarius 1 is depicted as a wolf in motion, embodying the urgency and the energy of this Decan. As he runs, he carries his bow and arrow in a harness around his body. We are given the keywords to guide us through this time: revelation, swift movement, decisive action, and going viral. Here is an excerpt from the Wild Way guidebook by Nicola Allen. "No time to waste," yells Sagittarius 1 wolf as they enthusiastically whoosh by at top speed. Arriving like bolts of lightning, visions, thoughts, and ideas come quickly now and must be implemented immediately or not at all. This is a time for action, but consider what is motivating your eagerness. Thoughts may be easily manipulated through propaganda and persuasion, so ensure your feelings are authentic before drawing your bow and releasing your arrow. Sagittarius 1 emphasizes this expansive thinking and bold exploration, but warns against letting impulsivity or manipulation guide our decisions. Sagittarius 1 is a decan of momentum, where the fire of inspiration ignites this swift and purposeful action. But the authors are all guiding us to this wise and careful use of this fiery motion. Let's look at the tarot. The Eight of Wands is the tarot card associated with Sagittarius 1, and this also symbolizes this swift action, this clarity of purpose, and this rapid movement towards a goal. The card reminds us that momentum is building and that the time to act is now. The card shows 8 wands seemingly suspended in flight across the fertile green landscape. We see rolling hills, water, and buildings in the far distance. The wands themselves all have tender new growth of life to animate them. However, it also holds the same cautions against the impulsiveness that can accompany acting with speed. Consider where we want these wands to land. Ensure our direction is aligned with our higher vision. Like arrows in flight, our efforts are propelled forward, but we must be certain of our target. We do not want those arrows and all that potential to simply fall, to land in the wrong place. This feels like our one chance to get it right, after all. It seems we are encouraged to grasp the moment of momentum and maximize the opportunity. And here's T. Susan Chang on Sagittarius 1 with a verse: "Viral fires you can't douse, ignite them at the arrow house. See that growing filament, harness it before it's spent. If you want it, say the word. Those who listen shall be heard. What's your gift? Be swift to name it. Fortune favors those who claim it." Again, there is this sense of a fleeting moment of opportunity. The question is posed: are you ready to name your gift and claim it? Now we come to the astrological conversation. And we see this full moon is shining next to the royal star Antares at 10 degrees. And Antares is known as the great red heart of the Scorpion in the Scorpius constellation. It is one of the 4 ancient royal stars and is associated with intensity, conviction, courage, obsession, and encounters with powerful desire or powerful consequences. The 4 royal stars were said to be the guardians of the celestial directions, and Antares is the watcher of the west. This red star will be visible in the night sky next to the full moon. Antares has long been connected with the warrior spirit, with passion, boldness, and the willingness to move towards something fully rather than half-heartedly. The Greeks associated the star with Mars, and you may see military themes prominent at this time, as well as good versus evil type of discussions. Bernadette Brady in Stars and Planets Combinations writes that it also indicates that one can be the cause of their own undoing. The natural theme of this star is to generate success by going through a cleansing life and death experience. It can suggest one seeks intensity even when not required. By its own mythological symbolism, it indicates extremes, whether by choice or not. As with all the royal stars, a moral standard or a balance is offered. It can bestow gifts, such as military success, but it can also carry a warning of a public fall alongside its gifts. Antares can burn hot and react too quickly. It can become consumed by righteousness, urgency, or the desire to win at any cost. Under this full moon, emotions may feel amplified and difficult to ignore. Something may feel deeply important to you, perhaps even fated, especially as the sun is separating from its square to the lunar nodes. You may notice where your convictions are strengthening, where what you no longer desire becomes clear, where your frustration or anger has been quietly simmering, or where your spirit and or your soul simply refuses to continue pretending indifference, and you're required to make a choice. As previously mentioned, Antares will also be visible in the night sky. If the skies are clear, the moon will shine close to this red star, offering a rare opportunity to witness the symbolism directly overhead. There is something profoundly ancient about seeing these stories reflected directly above us. I do encourage you to go out and spend a few moments under the night sky, connecting with Antares and the moon. At the same time, the sun is opposite in Gemini, and the sun is applying to connect with the royal star Aldebaran, the watcher of the east. When Antares burns with this intensity and desire, Aldebaran has traditionally been more associated with integrity, honor, leadership, truth, and moral direction. This deepens that good versus evil theme that Antares alone inspires. Antares asks you, what are you willing to fight for? And Aldebaran is asking whether your choices remain aligned with your deeper values while you do so. Aldebaran is the right eye of the bull in the constellation of Taurus, which is now in tropical Gemini. Due to precession over the ages, the stars may be said to be fixed, but they still move 1 degree every 72 years. Aldebaran's Arabic name means the follower. Some say it's because it follows the Pleiades, and others dispute that. The ancient Greeks knew it as torchbearer. The moon has only just separated from its opposition with Uranus in Gemini just hours before. Uranus is known as the awakener. It is disruptive and offers a pull to freedom by destabilizing. It interrupts routines and breaks open mental patterns that have become too rigid or too small. Oppositions with Uranus might bring intense or surprising encounters with people, sudden or unexpected news, changes in circumstance, or the feeling that life has moved the furniture or flipped the script while your attention was diverted. You may experience this as overstimulation, racing thoughts, perhaps interrupted sleep or emotional unpredictability. Others may feel a sudden urge to break free from something that has quietly become constrictive. This has been a theme since the sun also met with Uranus in Gemini on the 22nd of May. The Gemini sun, co-present with its ruler Mercury, already brought in a season emphasizing information, communication, data, narratives, conversations, and competing perspectives. But now the sun meeting Aldebaran asks for honesty within all of that movement and flow. You may now realize that some paths are no longer sustainable because they require you to portray something essential within yourself, to overstep a line that you hadn't realized before was even there. The moon and the sun have also just separated from a square to the nodes in Pisces and Virgo, moving us out of a fated cardinal cross. The sun squaring the nodes marks the halfway point between eclipse seasons. You may wish to reflect on the changes you have seen, your personal growth since the February-March eclipses, and what you hope to achieve in the next 3 months. This can create the feeling of standing at a karmic crossroads. The South Node in Virgo can manifest through overwork or hypervigilance, perfectionism, excessive analysis, or the attempt to manage uncertainty by controlling every detail. The North Node in Pisces asks for trust in the unknown, surrender, emotional honesty, connection with intuition and the mystical. The separating sextile from the moon to Pluto in Aquarius may add psychological depth. There could be an empowering truth that has been uncovered, or previously hidden truths revealed. There is potential for transformation happening quietly here, especially around identity, belonging, and your gifts. Something old may already be shedding, even if externally life still looks much the same. While these recent past aspects are being integrated, the moon moves towards a stabilizing trine with Saturn in Aries. Saturn offers grounding through deliberate action linked to your sense of self. Saturn in Aries is asking for mature courage, the willingness to act on behalf of your future self, to invest for the future and seek delayed gratification. Jupiter, ruler of the full moon, is exalted in Cancer at 23 degrees. Jupiter does not behold Sagittarius directly. It is said to be averse and cannot offer direct support. However, as well as being exalted in Cancer, it is also in its own bound. In Cancer, Jupiter seeks emotional nourishment, protection, belonging, memory, and genuine care. The moon and Jupiter have a mutual reception here as they each in the sign of the other's rulership. and thus they share similar aims and goals, working well together to achieve them. So who might feel this moon most strongly? We all experience it at different levels of intensity, but this lunation may be particularly significant for those with natal placements of personal planets or angles, that's the ascendant, descendant, the MC or the IC, between roughly 6 to 11 degrees of Sagittarius, Gemini, Pisces, Virgo, and also Aries and Leo. Also those whose perfection lord of the year, also the return ascendant, is Jupiter. And finally, the speed of events around this full moon may leave you feeling like time itself has sped up. You may already have a sense that something needs to change. You may still be trying to negotiate with the familiar. Feeling tension is understandable. Mutable seasons can often feel unsettling while we're moving through them. This full moon is inviting us to harness Sagittarius's boundless energy and optimism. In the wise words of T. Susan Chang, be prepared to name and claim your gift with courage, clarity, and focus. We can be ready to draw our bow, to aim, to release the arrow, and to trust in the journey ahead. Stay patient with any delays or obstacles, and ensure that you're aligned with your values. So I hope that's been helpful. If you've enjoyed this, please do remember to like, subscribe, and comment. I know you hear it every time, but it really does help for a small channel, just to let the algorithm know that there is somebody out there that's interested. Okay, thank you so much for joining me. Travel well, friends.